Welcome to Pioneers in Payments, where payments experts share their insights. Now, here's our host, Donna Blum.
Welcome, everyone. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Peter Tapling from PTAP Advisory. Welcome, Peter.
Thanks for having me, Donna.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really looking forward to just gleaning some advice from you today. To start us off, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself, your background in the payments industry, and the work that you do at PTAP Advisory?
Sure. So my background in the payment space, my background's a little bit different because I come entirely from the technology side. I've been a technology founder for 30 plus years. For 20 plus years, all of my work has been in and around the payments industry. So, early in some of the card networks, I remember the very first working groups for same-day ACH with NACHA. I was an early participant in the Federal Reserve Faster Payments Task Force, steering committee member for the Secure Payments Task Force. So kind of everything I've done has been in and around payments. So for a while, I worked for Early Warning during the launch of Zelle. When I left there, I hung out the shingle as PTAP Advisory. And my work is really at the intersection of a Venn diagram of three circles. So identity, risk, and fraud, payments, and what I'll call innovation. And innovation is things like BNPL and crypto and IoT, 5G, things like that. And I help providers understand how to take their hip, cool, cloud-based Kubernetes microservices thing and articulate it in a way that a banker will understand it, how it applies to their problems. And I help bankers understand that next marginal provider that comes in and says they have a hip, cool, cloud-based microservices Kubernetes kind of thing. So I do boiling that all down, I do technology translation.
You are multilingual.
I'm multilingual, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I'm so glad you're here with us today. I think that we're going to be able to learn a lot from your experience and expertise. To start us off with the first question, let's talk about the most notable trend in the payments industry today. I know there's a lot of innovation and it may be difficult to just hone in on just one, but what would you say is the most notable trend today?
I would say the most notable trend is an overabundance of options. If you are either a financial institution or a corporate or a consumer, you have so many different, just as a consumer, I can use my Starbucks app and pay through the app, or Uber and pay through the app. I can use Starbucks and pay with a QR code. I can use PayPal, Venmo. I can use Zelle, ACH, same day ACH, wire transaction, RTP. And we don't care. Like, all we want to do is pay. And so this whole conversation about how do you want to get paid is kind of unnatural. So I think one of the great opportunities in the payment space is removing some of that for people, making the choices obvious. As you know, we've met through the Faster Payments Council, and I spend a lot of time in faster payments. And one of my quippish lines on faster payments is, we will know we have exceeded as an industry in faster payments when we drop the word faster, when it's just a payment.
It'll be a fast payment, but we don't need to.
It will be the expectation. The expectation
right.
will be, it will be
all payments will
instantly
be
24/7 by 365, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. I agree. So what would you say is the top opportunity today for organizations that process payments?
So on the processing side, you have a unique opportunity to solve that problem for your customers, right? And so again, in the faster payment space, we love to talk about ISO 20022 and how wonderful rich messaging is going to make everyone's life roses and unicorns and rainbows. But reality is that's really complex. And there are very few systems on the back ends of businesses who are natively already processing these kinds of messages. We still have other EDI classes of messages out there. We still have ACH, TCX, CTX messages out there. And so payments processors who sit in the middle have an opportunity to kind of be a translator for that information and provide a way to present information to their corporate customers, ingest information and share, deliver information in a common format so they can, I mean, I hear it from corporates all the time. I told you I'm speaking at the AFP conference coming up, and I hear corporates all the time. I don't care. Like, I really don't care about this whole ISO 20022 thing. I want it to be easy. And if the way to make it easy is we rationalize everything to a common format, and that common format is ISO 20022, yay. But I really don't care. I just want to get paid.
Yep, that makes sense. So that's kind of the top opportunity for organizations that are processing payments. What would you say their greatest challenge is?
Well, the greatest challenge is the same challenge the corporates have. They just don't know.
Right.
Like, you know, one of the small banks, you know, you look at small banks and they're looking at, you know, historically PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, Chuck, RTP, FedNow. They have all these options. They have very limited budgets. And so they have to pick where are they going to put their effort. And the biggest challenge that they have is the build it and they will come problem. They don't want to take their limited assets, put them behind an implementation, and then wait for people to want to use it. So you run into a lot of FOMO, fear of missing out. So it's a strategic ROI. We have to do this because it's a cost of doing business. But I think the biggest challenge for financial institutions and for payments processors is figuring out, in what order do I do things and how do I offer these products so that when my product comes available, I have people ready to consume it.
Right. Yeah, it's really a lot of forward thinking, strategizing, and making sure that you are prepared for what the future holds, right?
Yeah, and all payment systems are network systems. Me doing it by myself doesn't make any difference if people on the other side of the transaction don't do it.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. So this is my favorite question because, I think it's probably more challenging for the people I speak with because it's difficult to narrow it down to just one piece of advice. But if you were to provide our viewers with one silver bullet piece of advice, what would that be?
Yeah, it is a tough one. I would say be educated. I will say I talked about PTAP advisory doing technology translation. Probably 40% of every engagement that I do is just helping people understand the ecosystems about which they're asking me questions. They just don't, like, they know the words, they know that an instant payment is 24/7 by 365, but the implications of that, understanding the implications, and we spend a lot of time in this payment space talking about use cases. Oh, well, this is a great use case, but we're always overly internally focused. The use case is about what we think and how we're going to communicate with the network and another party in the network to enable this use case. But we spend too little time talking to the people who will be affected by the use case. Again, network effect, to make sure that it's of interest to them and they're actually going to use it. And one of the great examples I give of this is every faster payment scheme around the world came out on the heels of a white paper supporting the effort to build a faster payment scheme. And here in the US, we wrote no less than 3 of them. And every single one of them had a use cases section. None of the use cases sections articulated PayPal, Venmo, Coinbase payouts as being one of the largest transaction drivers. But it's the very first set of transactions that anybody that goes live with RTP starts receiving. And so again, I think that just illustrates that, that kind of inward focus and that lack of understanding how the system works and understanding how people might use the system deeply enough so that when I come out with these products, we're not surprised by that use case, we were expecting it.
So I'm curious, and I'm going to kind of interject a new question for you here. As a consultant, and when you're working with your clients and you're recommending that they do have a better understanding, so they're not making decisions in a bubble, but they have an understanding of what their clients want or need. What is the process that you recommend for them? Is it focus groups? Is it research? What kinds of things are you doing?
Yeah, how do they do that? Right.
Yes, right.
Well, there's no shortage of, particularly in the payment space. So again, you got to be inwardly focused first. You have to be inwardly focused, understand the network, understand the operational considerations, understand how it is that I, as a payments processor, financial institution, corporate, are going to work with these things. And then you look outward towards how is this going to manifest itself in use cases. As you know, I'm a member of the US Faster Payments Council. We have a whole education and awareness work group. They provide some education, but the more important thing they do is they provide a bunch of pointers to external resources. Relative to faster payments, the Faster Payments Council and NACHA just announced a faster payments certification program, so you can become a certified faster payments professional some point soon in the future. You know, NACHA also has a variety of other educational capabilities. All of the payments associations around the country have educational capabilities. The card networks have ETA and people like that have educational opportunities. And so it's really, you know, some of it is conferences. It's going out and meeting people. You know, I always tell people that, you know, don't go to the conference thinking every single minute of every single session you go to is going to be riveting. It's not. Some of the stuff's going to be a repeat. It's okay to take multiple bites at the apple sometime. But if you come away from an event meeting 2 or 3 people that you didn't know before and having one interesting conversation in the hallway and learning one thing in a session, it was well worth the $2,000 or $3,000 you spent, because you can't get that education sitting behind your desk.
That's so true. Yeah, I definitely have learned so much from the events that I've attended, and that's actually how I met you. Was you were a speaker at the Faster Payment Council fall member meeting. So yeah, it's there is no substitute, right?
And you know, we refer to ourselves as payments nerds. You know, the payment space is not that big. There are not that many people to know, and it's actually a pretty collegial group. You know, so one of the great things about actually meeting people is having the opportunity to say, hey, I'm now involved in a situation where I really never worked before, but I met this person at the Faster Payments Council who might know. I'm going to drop an email and see if they have an idea. And I can't tell you how many of those emails I get. I almost always can't answer the question, but I know someone who can. That's how networking works.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, Peter, before I let you go, I would really like to ensure that our audience knows how to learn more about PTAP advisory and the services that you provide. So what information do you have for them?
Well, I would say the best place to find out about me, I'm a sole proprietor. I have no interest in becoming the next PwC. So the best place to find out about me is LinkedIn. Somebody told me, I don't know if this is true or not, that I am the only Peter Tapling on LinkedIn, which I thought was kind of random. But yes, if you look up Peter Tapling on LinkedIn, you'll find out all about me. You can direct message me there and we can get started. I actually do have a URL and a website, but it's go to LinkedIn, better resource.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, Peter, thank you so much for your time and your words of wisdom today. And I also just want to thank everybody for watching. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for the opportunity, Donna. We'll see you on the road.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye.